Welcome to Eye Level to High Level, where real talk meets real results. I'm Jimmy Rios, and each week we break down the mindset, money moves, and strategies you need to elevate your life and business. Let's level up. Welcome to the Eye Level to High Level program, where we're going to talk today to a good friend and business associate, Chat Binder, with Lotus Evolution Wellness out of Scottsdale. I'm so excited to have you on the show. There's so many things that I want to talk about. We're probably not going to have enough time, but I wanted to take advantage of having you on here to tell your story, a little bit about what has transpired over this year. I mean, it's gone so fast. And, really to open it up and, let people know what's going on with, different ways to grow your business and scale and do the things that I think, you're doing, that you exemplify, taking the bull by the horns, so to speak, and taking some chances and, really taking it to the next level, which I admire. I wanted to start off by just having you introduce yourself and letting us know what you do and who you are, and then we'll kick it off and have a good conversation.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's an honor to sit here with you and discuss a little bit about the journey, because in many ways it's been a bit of a long journey, but it's still at the front end. We're at the starting line still.
Right.
And so Lotus Evolution's Wellness is an evolution. Yes. In a way. We've been around for a few years. I'm half of it. Sometimes I joke I'm the beauty and and my partner Keri is the brains, but really the reality is she's both the beauty and the brains. She was the inspiration behind the entire concept and the evolution, and it's going to be a constant work in progress too, just to keep redefining and improving upon what we're doing. But it started off focused primarily with skincare, with an organic and natural approach, right. A few years ago, and now we're at the point of the last few months as we get relaunched, of really taking it, as you say, to the next level. With we've shortened menus down and everything to really focus on the high end and holistic approach. That is important to us, with alternatives, basically alternative options to what's a lot of the mainstream. Yeah. So, and as far as specifics go, we can always talk about that, but it's really people looking for different approaches, alternatives, right, to injectables, fillers, things that haven't worked for them, or things that actually, as we learn more and more over the coming last few years, months and weeks and into the future, things that are just not necessarily good for our health, right, that we may have thought were okay in the past. So we're basically some skincare still, and will be, but quantum biofeedback. Keri's able to coach in hormonal health, primarily for women. And she's got a nutrition background, and the biofeedback is really going to be a big thing going forward, and we're excited to be at the forefront of that. A lot of what we do in town is we have some things that are relatively exclusive, not only in the Valley of the Sun, but kind of in the state or region as well. So
that's exciting. Mm-hmm. I know that. For me, health and wellness has become a very big thing over the last year.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
I've been really working on myself, not just because I'm aging, right? We all have to head that route, but ultimately, in being able to find balance in everything that I do, right? And I feel it's such an important thing that many people just don't know where to turn to, right? In business, I think there's a lot of similarities. I think we share a lot of parallels in that end, because with my company, with Rios Business Advisors, right? It's one of those things where people don't really know what we do, right? And so in being able to explain and help others, right? We have to go and dive deeper into what it is, what are some of the problems, right? And I think with health and wellness and beautification and all these different things that we are wanting to talk about, people need to know what those things are. I think it goes far beyond just losing a little bit of weight, diet. I mean, this goes deep into like cells and I read a lot, and I was like, the energies that we give off and how we partake of our day, right? All these extras are very fundamental. And before we jump into that, let's take a step back. Let's go back a year, right? And tell us a little bit about where you guys were at in that time frame, and what were some of the challenges that you were facing. Let's go to June of May's almost over, right? Let's go to June of last year and tell us what you guys were talking about and thinking at that moment in time.
Sitting here in this chair right now, and thinking back a year, it was absolutely different. It wasn't even the thought that we would have a Scottsdale address. Wasn't even, there were some other things we were looking at. I mean, just even from the base level, we were at a point where we were just trying to survive. Yeah. Literally survive. Without getting way into the weeds of it. Right. All the specifics, we were in a place where it was hard to find space. Yes. Commercial space. Even if you couldn't afford it. Right. It was a different dynamic than it can be tough anyway. It's tough anyway, but it was especially tough in the scenario. Right. And we didn't fit the demographics well enough. Sure. As far as, we were trying to create a square peg, put the square peg in the round hole, or vice versa. And something you were bringing up earlier that would dive into more too, just education. Yes. People aren't aware. There's an awareness of, there's kind of a bit of a shift going on in the world too, with awareness of things. Where we were, which it wasn't working well enough, or as fast as we like, and it was too hard. Yeah. And we were at, the finish line was approaching. Right. And we were looking for another starting line, and so. And
that leads me to my next point was, so we met at a BNI meeting. Yeah. We were part of a Business Network International, and there had to have been something that clicked at some point that made you say, we need help. Right? I think that's one of the hardest things in business, is being able to look introspectively at ourselves, right, in the mirror, and raise your hand and say, I don't know what to do at this point, right? Yeah. At what point did you finally make that connection, and what made you reach out to Rios Business Advisors?
Yeah, it's a thing, and it's not just in business; it's in life for all of us. Yes. And it starts on the personal side, and in business, right. It follows through. If being able to ask for help, or knowing that you don't, if somebody else has ideas or expertise in anything that you can help with, we don't need to be able to do it all ourselves, nor should we. Right. It's a lot, and I think leading into that point a year ago, we were still trying new things, this, that, okay, and in the back of the head, it's like, okay, need to do something different, need to do something different, and I can't exactly say when it actually shifted. It was a little bit of a transition. Yeah. But like so many people, sometimes when all of a sudden you're starting to feel like the back is in the wall, you're cornered. Yeah. You need to do something different. Right. The trick is allowing ourselves to do it sooner. But sometimes that's how, a lot of times the world works the way it's supposed to work. Right. And so we needed that impetus. And it was, all of a sudden it's like, aha, let's sit down and talk. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, now I see. Right. Now I hear, now I can feel. Yeah. There's some different opportunities, and if we just explore those, if we're open to exploring that can, some things can change, and the direction can head forward much better. You
made a point saying you have to be open. Mm-hmm. Open. How important when we started our dialogue,
Yeah.
with you and Keri, how important was it to be open about everything? I know that when we first started, I got very granular in the process in saying, look, I need you guys to put all the cards on the table. How important is that when assessing and addressing issues or problems inside of a business? Tell us a little bit about that part.
Yeah, you really have to be open to new ideas. If any of us, just depending on how old we are, where we're at, different things, if you just stop and think for a moment and reflect. When I went to college, I didn't use email at all.
Right.
It was early. I work, I joke that it's, I'm sort of like, what am I doing after I graduate and go out of, and get out of school? Because I kind of have really reshifted everything I do. It's like I'm restarting at the point, and it's exciting. In the last few years, one of those things was I didn't know how to actually start a business.
Yeah.
I knew people that had, but it's like, I'm smart, okay, yeah, sure, I can. But that goes to the being open.
Right.
And jumping back to where it was, where it's like, we all have these different notions and beliefs and experiences.
Yes.
And you combine them all together. There are certain things I just didn't know how to do.
Yeah.
There are certain things I knew how to do very well.
Right.
It didn't always translate. And sometimes you can be doing what has worked somewhere else or at a different time, and it's not the same. And I think I had when Keri and I sat with you, this was completely new to her. I had tried something in the realm before, and it helped extend.
Right.
It didn't fix. It helped buy time.
Right. Kind of like a pseudo band-aid sorts.
Let's throw the temporary bridge across the river and kind of
see how long we can.
And get the tanks across, and then if it falls,
deal with it when
we're
we
done.
get there.
We've got to cross the road. Okay,
Right.
okay, let's find the next thing. But the point was, I had the aha. Okay, I get enough of this to see it's different.
Yeah.
Or different in the sense of there's opportunities that you can utilize with the skill sets and the programs and the tools that there was enough that clicked for me.
Right. For
her, and I think for most people, and this is the challenge, the education aspect for everybody was okay, this is how I see it, this is how it can help, and then walking through some more things, because it can be scary for people when we do something we don't or aren't familiar with, or don't know anything about, especially if there's a lot on the line.
Right.
But especially when there's a lot on the line, we need to be open.
Yes.
That's when you really need to be the most open, is when there's a lot on the line.
The name of the program is called High Level to High Level. And when we introduced this program, you guys were one of the pioneers for us. In other words, even though it's a newer program to the scene, the concepts and the ideas weren't new. It's the mechanics and how we put it together to make it work. And I use that analogy about in 1918 when the Wright brothers, put together this carcass of a machine that they called an airplane, and they told people, well, it's going to take you from here, from LA to New York, and X number of hours. All you got to do is just trust us and get in the plane, and it's going to work, right? Yeah. And I would dare to say that at that time there was more people that were like, "You're crazy! I'm not going to get into that thing." And now, over 100 years, right? Over 100 years, people don't think twice about jumping into an airplane, right? It's one of the safest things you can do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Six Sigma, I think, was built around the loss aspects of airplane, or of finding the errors in airplanes, right? Or because if you have even 1.001% of errors in flying, there's a lot of people that could lose their lives, right? My program is not as drastic, but it's making shifts in the mindset of how we think about debt and how we think about investments, right? Tell us a little bit about your fears, maybe even a little bit of, some pushback and in getting started with this program, and also how has it been for you over these months, right? Give us a little light on that.
Yeah, and just to be really open and honest with everyone, is we had really dug a deep hole, and we're still in a deep hole.
Sure.
However, I understand it better, and I see it better, and my mindset is different about this. As I see it, it's like, okay, we can manage it better. It's not. It can. At one time, it felt overwhelming. Now it's like, okay, there's a process.
Right.
There's tools in place and a process. Help, trust in the process, the methods, go through, and as things go along, certain things alleviate, certain things move ahead.
Right.
And there's a maybe not the best way to put it, but there's a balancing act that you can use to move ahead. And some of the really the biggest fears are just when you can get to that point where thinking of it like a roller coaster, where it's like the fear, and then whoa, wait a minute, no, opportunity. And once that changes, and that's not to say it's perfect the whole way. There's still moments where like, geez, look at this bill, I gotta take care of it. But it's like, oh nope, okay, no, it's all working. Just let it go, work with it. And that really takes a lot of mental weight off your shoulders.
Right.
And
burden. We talk about lifting the burden.
So many people are dealing with burdens. Even if people are well off, they're dealing with their own types of burdens.
Yeah.
But
more money, more problems.
More money, yeah. And the nice thing is, well, that's a good way to put it. And here's the good thing is, with the programs and stuff, hey, those are burdens to look forward to.
Right.
But it's really that shift in mindset, and you brought up some phraseology that we started having conversations that help us with something. We were talking, and she was like, "Oh, gotta write that down." And it was, and I won't do the whole thing at the moment, but it's like simple shifts. And we were talking in the health and area, but some simple shifts can lead to big changes and improvements. Right.
How has your relationship with Keri been since? I know that in business, my wife and I, work together, right?
Yeah.
And I know when times are good, it seems like there's less friction inside the relationship. For you guys, having been on both sides of the fence and seen it and working together, how did this program help you guys maybe alleviate some of those burdens in the relationship as well?
Sure. Yeah, and once again, full honesty, because everybody knows this is true.
Right.
Things aren't perfect all the time, no matter what.
Right.
Yeah. But particularly when, like you shared, when your spouse or partner is also not only in life but business, and you're spending a vast majority of your time together, you really need to be able to have some relaxation, some not tense moments, an ability to be able to step back, to exhale, breathe and decompress, exhale. And it's, as I said, we had built we built a bad house of cards, because it's just like you just start scrambling, and that got stressful, and at moments it still is. But it really has taken a lot of that mental weight, burden off our shoulders. So, do
you feel having a business mentor or advisor and your team, right, as an extension of what you're doing? Obviously, I'm not a wellness coach or know anything about what you do, but helping you see other areas of your business, do you feel that's brought value to your business and to what you're doing and your goals?
Oh, absolutely. It can make a world of difference. And we've been fortunate over the past few years doing a few other things where it's like you can find mentors that help with this or that.
Right.
And in some ways, that's kind of how it led to how we met. and started working and collaborating together.
Yeah.
And really, it is a collaboration, which is, I think, is a good reminder for everybody. There are times where you really need somebody to just do something for you, but when you're doing something big and important, a lot of times there's aspects where you do need the collaboration, and that's a powerful thing. But it's on the whole, having somebody who can help say, well, okay, you've been doing this, but what if you look at it this way? Or have you thought about this?
Yeah.
Or
it's giving like different layers of perspective.
Absolutely.
Putting on a different set of glasses and looking at things from another point of view, a vantage point.
Yeah.
I think that's huge for myself included, because I don't know it all, nor have I ever preached to have known it all. But I always said what got me here was 23 years of mistakes and being able to acknowledge that I needed help in areas, right? And that ultimately has led me to want to help others because I saw the need, right?
Yeah.
What I was looking over here at some of my notes, and there's a lot of people out there listening that are either entrepreneurs to be, or they are entrepreneurs, and maybe even some that are niched in the health and wellness industries. What advice could you give those out there listening who are thinking about entering or talking to us about this I Love at a High Level program? What could you tell them out there that would be good nuggets of information?
Oh, there's a basket of nuggets. And, I'll maybe pluck and reemphasize a couple we've already hit on, in the sense of you have being open, learning how to be open. Learning how to understand that your mindset is key.
Right.
Understanding that there might be another option. There's so many nuggets.
Sure.
And forgive me because I'm going to jump back. Is that you hit on something that's really important that goes back to our original face-to-face meeting.
Yeah.
And you sharing your story that included. I myself have made a lot of mistakes.
Yep.
We all have.
Right.
And we learn. And mistakes aren't, we think of them as mistakes, but they're just things that didn't work at the time.
Right.
And if there's things that don't work at the time, that gives you the ability and the opportunities to try something that may work this time.
Right.
And or find some things that maybe work even a little better.
That's right.
And if you can find something that even improves, cost effectively, like 0.5%.
Right.
It's a compounding thing.
Exactly.
If you can improve yourself 0.01% a day on something, just one aspect of it.
Yes.
And you look back a few months later, it's like, oh wow,
right.
Hey, I was not good at that. Maybe I couldn't. Your wife Sylvia is a great example with social media.
Yes.
And not so long ago, she didn't like doing it, and then she started doing it, and now she's like, you look back and then forward, and it's like, wow. Yeah. She's really doing some good stuff on this.
Right.
And so it's just being open to make some little changes or try something.
It was tough for her to come out of that shell. I think many of us live in a shell. We get complacent. And I always say, learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's not easy to do.
No.
It's easy to say, but doing anything that takes you out of your comfort zone but the growth happens in that uncomfortable area.
Yeah.
Right? Well, listen, Chad, you've been a blessing. It's been so good to have you on the show and sharing your journey and the different things that it takes to make it happen. I remember when we started out, I'd look at everything like a puzzle, and there were so many pieces to the puzzle. I mean, there was days where I didn't know if we were going to be able to get this done, right? and that's okay. Yeah. I can say that because many times you have to have a vision, and you have to think past the obstacles or the challenges, right? You have to know that have faith in the process, work towards it, and make it happen. And I think you've been a student of the game. You guys, every time we've asked you to do something, you've done it. And that's very important in, being able to reach your goals when somebody's trying to help you, is to listen, to be open-minded, and to follow through with different tasks. And you guys have been masterful in doing that. That's why it's exciting to hear, your story and your journey. I wish Keri was here because I know she brings a whole nother layer of expertise
we'll do it again with her. Yeah,
we will. We have to.
She'll blow the socks off people when she starts telling her stories.
No, I love it. I think that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
I want to help people go to the next level in their life, in their journeys, and know that you're not alone here. You can get the same help that Chad and Keri did for their business. All it takes is just asking for help and being willing to do some work, and we can be there for you. Thank you for being on this journey with us today and helping you get to that next level with a high level to high level team, and we hope to talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in to Eye Level to High Level. If you're ready to rise above the average, subscribe, share, and follow us for more ways to take your grind to greatness. Until next time, keep pushing higher.